At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing DePaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.
All things Hawkeyes. Your all-access pass from the sidelines to the postgame. Iowa's News Now Sports presents Eye on the Hawks. Sponsored by DePaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers.
Hey everybody, welcome to a ReliaQuest Bowl preview edition of Eye on the Hawks. This is our first football pod in 3 weeks to the day.
About 3 weeks, yeah.
About 3 weeks. Hope everybody had a lovely Christmas and holiday season. We're just kind of getting back to the swing of things here. Mitch Fick, Mike Howell, Owen Sebring en route to Tampa as we speak right now on Sunday the 28th, and Director Wren running the show here. As we get back to looking at the matchup between the Hawkeyes and Commodores, of course, thanks to everybody who's watching on the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel. Plenty of stuff coming from Owen here, starting tonight on Iowa's News Now, and plenty of that will be on the YouTube channel as well. And, of course, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we are there as well, whether it's Spotify, Apple, the whole 9 yards. We're out there, and plenty more content coming across the platforms here. The next few days as we wrap up 2025, the year, and 2025, the Hawkeye football season. We tee things up, as always, starting with Pin Seekers with Day 3 in Tampa. The Hawkeyes just kind of wrapping up practice here in the last couple of hours. Again, third day down in Tampa Bay. They took off from CID Christmas Day. It was 40 degrees out. Been on that tarmac at CID getting player video in years past, and it can be darn right chilly out there, and that was about as comfortable as it's been out at CID. But we'll give you a look. Chad Leistko and some other beat writers already down there. And you see the defense out there, of course, getting ready for Diego Pavia. Plenty to talk about there, but this is one of their 4 DB or 4 corner lineups, I should say. It's sounds like it's been Jalen Watson, TJ Hall, who Phil Parker says will play after missing the last couple of games. Deshaun Lee, you see out there, number 8. And, of course, Zach Lubner's played a little corner as well this year. So that would be how it would look. Carson Shire would be your lone linebacker, at least as far as we've seen in this video. And, of course, the offense getting ready for a Vanderbilt defense. It's got a strong rush defense, hasn't been great in the past. And you see Mark Gronowski here from Chad's video. That's Thomas Meyer, the true freshman out of Clear Lake there. Big body guy. Haven't seen him out there, I don't believe at all this season. But, hey, bowl prep, you see a lot of guys. And according to Chad's reporting there out of Tampa, Meyer's been running with the ones a little bit. And, of course, you get him, Vanami, and any size you can get out there, you'll certainly take it against a Vanderbilt defense that doesn't get the headlines, but certainly an opportunity for the Hawkeye offense to maybe show something. And belated congratulations, of course, the big story so far in the bowl prep. Your 2025 Joe Moore award-winning offensive line there, George Barnett and his unit. What a story the last few years, Mike, to just have a group that, you know, Mason Richmond and Connor Colby getting thrown in there in 22, and you're switching Logan Jones over from D-line and trying to do the Linderbaum thing again, which worked fantastic. Your Remington Award winner. Rusty Feth comes in 2023 to plug a hole, ends up being all winner from Miami of Ohio, and they found a way to create a line that has upheld the legacy and standard of what Iowa tries to be. Yeah, pretty cool that they got to win, you know, probably one of the awards that we look forward to as Iowa fans each season. And I know there's a lot of debate online. I honestly, you know, I like football. You like football. I've watched football almost my entire life. I never know how to grade the offensive line. I know if they're pushing them back, you know, if they're playing pretty well. So how these awards actually pick and parse the best offensive lines, especially when there's 130 teams and they're playing different teams. You know, what D line are you playing? What D line is team B playing? It's really tough, and I know there's probably 5 offensive lines that probably could have won it, but I think 100% Iowa deserved to be there. And the trajectory they've made over the past, I remember there was 4 years ago when they're like, is there something wrong with the Iowa offensive line? And now 3 linemen are probably going to get drafted, and you look at the other 2 that are younger guys, and you're like, well, they're probably going to be in the NFL too, and it looks like that's just going back to the standard. I think a big part of it has been the story. I think even Aaron Taylor pointed that out of just like what you guys have grown into. I mean, people were calling for George's job a few years ago, and just like, he was moving a D lineman over to center again in Logan Jones, and Mason and Connor were out there early and ended up playing a ton of football, and man, we heard it a lot, especially in 23. Like, you can't microwave this stuff. You have to give it time and hope there's patience, and eventually it pays off. And you saw what it means to Kirk, his old coach in Joe Moore, and why that means so much. And those guys, they walk past that 2016 edition of the trophy in that football building quite a bit. And even if it's not at the top of their list, like that's motivation. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly well earned, and what a group and what a journey for, Lauk plugging in at left tackle and, boy, holding the standard and then some. Jennings Dunker continuing to grow. Cade Pieper, we heard so much about him, and he was fantastic. And Bo Stevens, as good a story as you'll find in that offensive line room as well. So just really, really cool to see those guys thrive. And you're going to lose 3 of them, certainly, as they wrap up their senior campaigns here coming up on Wednesday against Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl, 11 a.m. kick on ESPN. But we will look ahead to 2026 just briefly, a few other storylines that have happened in the last 3 weeks since we did a football podcast. Thank you to Pin Seekers, as always, for teeing it up with us. Cohen Entringer told one reporter and then kind of got coy but kind of hinted to it as well. The rest of the way, we'll say it, Cohen Entringer's back in 2026, and what a get that is for Iowa in a recruit in the age of the portal and feeling like you got to keep your own players. Not that I ever think Cohen was really thinking about portal, maybe more NFL, but 69 tackles, 4 pass breakups, the captain and starter for all 12 games, first as a starter, of course, maybe laid out his legacy at the Big Ten title game in 2023, running down that punt return, but as consummate as a leader and as well respected as anybody on that Hawkeye defense, going into 2026, especially at safety, a guy that's kind of the quarterback on the field and making sure he knows where everybody is. Mike, that's about as big of an offseason pickup as you could ask for that defense. It's going to lose a lot up front. You need to make sure the back end's short up, and with number 4 back there, repping for Eastern Michigan, that's a big get.
Yeah, this always comes around in bowl time when you're looking at players coming back, and I don't know how serious his NFL chances were. There's only a limited amount of mock drafts, and I didn't see his name, but I haven't looked at everything. Certainly.
There were just a lot of, it wasn't expected that he was going to go through senior day, and so then, every question comes up because people have to speculate and fill time. Rightfully so, because we didn't see it coming, but
like you said, with 7 defensive starters gone, it would have been, another 8 if you add him, if he would have tested the waters, especially the entire defensive line, 2 of the 3 linebackers, and then Xavier, the safety. It's just huge that you have that secondary coming back. Yeah. At least one group. You have to replace Xavier, obviously, but
and TJ, but you got Deshaun back, you got Jalen Watson back, you'll have Lutmer back. I
think I didn't count TJ because I don't think he was on the depth chart since he was coming back from that injury. But I totally forgot. So 8 defensive starters, but having a majority of that, when you saw good things from Rashad Godfrey too,
Jacob Wallace has been
exactly just encouraging stuff, and you don't want to replace even more, especially when he's a junior and. By all accounts, he should be back, but it's just good to hear. Yeah,
and again, I think anytime you get a captain, you keep a keep a leader in the locker room. That's a huge thing. So great to have Cohen back. Again, we waxed poetic about him doing the Kinnick speech before every game. I just posted a video today on social media if you want to watch that. Kind of a mashup of his recitement of Niall Kinnick's Heisman speech throughout the 2025 season. Looking forward to do another one in 2026. Maybe I'll string all 3 seasons we see it together at the end of his career. So, we just mentioned TJ Hall is back, going to be playing, it sounds like, in the bowl game. TJ Washington, though, reportedly in the portal. Hasn't made it official yet, but he was not at CID for the flight. And a guy that I picked as my preseason breakout performer. I thought he was going to be in for big stuff. Started the season as, we have it on the screen as RB2 if you're watching on YouTube and checking out his highlights. It was really kind of 1A, 1B. They were kind of talked about that TJ was going to be a real focal point after spending a year in the receiver room. Thought, his versatility could be all over the place. Got more than half of his season carries, though, in that opener against Albany after Kamari got hurt. Of course, had the touchdown on the sweep there in the Music City Bowl last year. And, all of 28 carries and 98 yards through 11 games. 2 starts this season. But, at the tail end of the year, he was he was getting back there behind Xavier Williams, who, of course, had a big game against Albany. Nathan McNeil, who no red shirt for him. But, TJ, man, you see it there in the pregame. He's got hands, too. And kid who's versatile out of Texas. I don't know if he heads back closer to home, but I can't help but think he'll land in a spot where he can make some plays. And we've talked quite a bit about, what a blessing it was for the running back room to have so many guys there that could go play somewhere else and have starts. Jazz in there as well. When he's healthy, he's always a weapon. It felt, though, inevitable that one guy was maybe going to leave at some point.
Yeah, and maybe another one leaves. Who knows? But this is like the second year in a row. It's one of the things too going in on the off-season podcasts and off-season comments. Like, you can't take. I don't want to say that the coaches lie, because I think genuinely Tim Lester, he's talked about TJ being a gadget guy for 2 years, just didn't pan out. And sometimes that happens. Like, you take shots on guys, and we kind of thought he'd be kind of a bigger impact this year. I certainly thought so. But it just didn't work out. I think 3.5 yards per carry is what he was averaging. Didn't get a lot of opportunities in the middle of the season, but,
And he was banged up. I mean, that whole room.
He's football, everyone's
yeah,
banged up.
exactly, yeah.
But, yeah, there's just – I think there are better options in the running back room, don't you think?
And when Nathan jumps out the way he did, Xavier, too, especially in that opener, I mean, he had, I think, at least half of his season yards in the opener against Albany. He had a big one against big game against Wisconsin as well. But when you've got those two guys there, too, it's – yeah, you've kind of got, and I don't know what if Tim wants to, I imagine wants to get the passing game going a little more, maybe not focusing as much on running backs, but yeah, T.J. Washington, a guy that raised the morale of that room too, certainly well liked, but wasn't on the plane to Tampa and is, sounds like figuring out his next options. Of course, Jackson Stratton, we knew before the bowl game was announced, also in the portal, and wishing the best of those two dudes. And other than that, no opt-outs for Iowa, which has been a cool storyline, and Tim Lester spoke about just, these guys love playing together.
That's kind of crazy when you just...
It is, yeah.
And I don't know how you've taken in the bowl season so far. I feel like it's been kind of lackluster. I'll tune in for every other game.
Really?
Yeah, I just have not been interested in much of these games. Yesterday, I didn't watch many of them. I was kind of busy, though, through most of the game. I think I would have watched Penn State, Clemson if I wasn't busy. Yeah. But... you got to, like, if you're a gambler, you got to go do research and, like, check to see who's in and who's out,
Is that the perspective you bring to this?
You don't know who's going to play. And at least for this Iowa Vanderbilt, that's different, though. This game is different in that aspect where you don't really have to – there's a few guys out, like you said, TJ's in the portal. And
we'll talk about one in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure on Vanderbilt. But I don't know. I haven't been too hyped about bowl season so far, but
it is. I come back to, I said it on social media after New Year's Eve and that Cal Hawaii ending. Like, bowl season still is awesome because football is still awesome. Like, even if you have 3.5 quarters where you're kind of like, all right, nobody's really like doing one big thing explosively or anything like that. Like, when you get those finishes, New Mexico and Minnesota in the Rape Bowl, like, you get awesome overtime wins. It's like, yeah, like, these guys get to play together one more time. You get to win. You get incredible finishes. And it's a little bit like, Maction when you get those Tuesday, Wednesday games. It's like, yeah, it's group of 5, and it's maybe not, the blue bloods of the sport. Man, you get to watch guys battling their tails off to finish on a high note or take a big step towards a chance to go to a conference championship game if it's in November or something like that. Like, it's got to be fun. And, yeah, maybe the players that were playing there in October aren't out there in December. But, if you're a fan of the team, you get your sneak preview of 2026. So I've enjoyed it. And, especially seeing Penn State get the win over Clemson yesterday and seeing Terry Smith, as he gets ready to stay on with Matt Campbell coming in. That was a really cool thing to see. That Grunkmeyer kid's going to be – he's just continued to elevate and elevate and elevate. So Penn State, and we'll see if Rocco goes there. It's just fascinating to kind of see, like, what – this is the end of this crazy Penn State season. What the hell are they going to be next year? A lot of cyclones in the portal. Do they follow? What happens? It's just such a unique now time of year where – yeah, maybe you're not emotionally invested in these games as much as you have been in the past, but there's just so much stuff happening off the field that for me, that's the intrigue of, like, okay, let's see what goes on with these guys and if it even means anything in 4 months when they open spring.
I will say, just as an Iowa fan, I'm excited for the Iowa Bowl game.
It's I think not only because it's Iowa, but it's as good as a non-playoff bowl game as you're going to ask.
Oh, no, I just think it's true. Like, the team you like, you'll be excited for that bowl game. And obviously there's people that love bowl games like you and like other sports fans, but I guess I've been having a harder time this part of my life to get into the other bowl games. We were driving to Illinois this past weekend, and I tuned in on my phone. I was watching like the Northwestern Central Michigan game, and there's like 3 quarterbacks playing, and it's like 0-0 through 1. I'm like, this is a crap game. So I threw out a tweet, like it went semi-viral because I tagged Sickos Committee.
I saw that. Yeah, we should talk about that. Yeah, you had it was a really cool concept. I meant to put this in the rundown, and I forgot. But yeah, you had a great back and forth with a lot of folks. Really cool ideas.
Yeah, so I actually think it'd be a horrible idea to implement, like in practicality. Every bowl game has one specific rule, and then you go with it, right? So like I was like, all right, because that game started out, and Northwestern went for it on 4th down on their own 30, didn't get it, and I think Central Michigan went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. I'm like, what if you just couldn't punt? Like in a bowl game. Yeah. Like, wouldn't that be cool?
You're like taking some XFL, USFL hybrid rules. And it's like, if the rate bowl, if you go there, you only get 3 downs or something like that. Like, yeah, it was a cool idea. And yeah, you got a lot of stuff on it.
I wish I pulled it up beforehand.
I meant to put it in the rundown and I totally forgot. If you look up Mike's social media or go to Sickos Committee.
If you want to go to PSCAN, I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Just some ideas. I'll just go through some.
And then immediately plug the podcast because that's what you do when you go viral. You plug 100%. Your SoundCloud or your podcast.
2 and 4 point field goals, and if you put one through the uprights on a kickoff, you get 1 point. Also, the crossbar at the top of the uprights goes down. Like that's just an insane rule. That's one of my favorites. Only if Iowa gets to host a bowl where the punts are the only legal play. And I was like, yeah, because then Caden Weeden gets 65 punt returns. So that was one of my favorites.
We'll get into Vandy's punt stuff. There's some wild numbers there in a little bit, but yeah, it was super fun to scroll down that whole thread and just see. Yeah, the Vuvuzelas one. Yeah, you were off on that. Yeah, that was super fun to see. Yeah, I think, but that's the fun part about bowl season. There's been a lot of talk about like, I think it was Rick Neuheisel suggested, well, how about kind of like basketball has their kind of preseason non-con tournaments, like. How about you start with bowl season? And they kind of do that in some respects of like kickoff classics and things like that. It's, I think, super interesting. And Kyle Whittingham just had his introductory presser at Michigan earlier today and talked about like, I think everyone's expecting he's kind of a bridge for the next 3 to 5 years. And he's like, in the next 3 to 5 years here, like we're going to see even more changes. And who knows if it's bowl games and college kind of becoming more of a minor league system than it already is. But it's fascinating to see, and it's exciting to see because football is fun, and the more ways you can make it fun and engaging, can't ask for anything more.
And there's one other discussion that I like. I shouldn't say I like it. It was interesting to me, and it revolves around the Pop-Tarts Bowl because I love the Pop-Tarts Bowl and all the stuff that goes on, like eating the giant popcorn Pop-Tart and the giant toaster. But at some level, one guy's like, I love this, but like at some point. Like a serious coach is going to be like, I'm not doing this. This is disrespectful.
Kirk Signetti going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Kirk going to the Pop-Tarts
Bowl? Kirk Ferentz? Yeah,
More of a toaster strudel guy. Yeah.
I mean, I would enjoy it, but I don't think he would. It's almost making a mockery of the game, but it's not. It's having fun with it.
It's fun, yeah.
So like as these corporate sponsors get more and more into it, like they tend to do, like the Cheez-It tried to do kind of similar because they're put on by the same people, but it's a fine line. And as much as I love it, like at some point, imagine Bill Belichick at UNC going to that bowl. Like, it's just wouldn't play out well.
It'd be great for the socials, though, right?
Yeah,
can you imagine the content? We were talking about the portal and changing or what changes could be coming in the postseason. But we did hint about Vanderbilt having an opt-out. It was reported, kind of assumed, and just in the last couple of hours as we're recording it has been made official. E.I. Stowers, the Mackey Award winner, the Campbell Trophy winner as well, beat out Aaron Graves for the academic Heisman, did tell ESPN he will not play Wednesday against Iowa. Leading receiver for Vanderbilt in both receptions and yardage. First team All-SEC, and a heck of a weapon there. For the Commodore offense, he has 62 catches, 769 yards, 4 touchdowns this season, 6'4", 235. They replace him with basically tight end 2, who also said he's coming back next year. It's a big get for the Commodores as well for 26. Cole Spence, who only has, I think, 13 catches for 200-some yards, 2 scores. He's 6'7", 250. So
it's a big body.
I wondered, and it's not the type of thing I guess there's so many questions about Pavia, rightfully so, and we'll dive into that a little more here. But, like, how do you scout a 6'7" two? Like, do you bring Cannon Leonard off the offensive line, like have him run scout team tight end, just like give the linebackers an idea of what this guy's going to do? That's now a wrinkle in this. Stowers was already going to be a matchup problem if he was going to play, but now you've got this big weapon over the middle, and you've got these small wide receivers outside. But it's going to be an interesting wrinkle of if Pavia gets him involved a little more. I think his biggest game was maybe LSU or something like that. Had 5 catches of his 13 for 51 and a score. I'm intrigued what Cole Spence will do for this Hawkeye prep, but I think they've been prepping as if Stowers was going to be out anyway, so maybe Phil's got it figured out.
Yeah, maybe you see Alvaro Fogueras has some free time and can play scout team down there. No,
flew down to Tampa for the weekend. Yeah,
Vandy still has great weapons. So but when you take away someone like that, like the top target for Diego Pavia, it's going to have an impact. Will it be like the game deciding, impact? I don't know. I tend to agree with you. If you have a 6'7" tight end with 200-something yards receiving, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah,
right.
They'll figure it out, and I mean, they've figured it out almost every game so far this year. Like Pavia's just special that way.
But could it relieve some stress for your linebackers and your extra DBs if you're going to run that dime format? Yeah, 100%. And can it give you you don't have to worry about that? And it kind of reminds me of the Oregon game because Sadiq is one of the best tight ends too, and maybe him missing that game made that game closer, and it could that impact we could see that impact on Wednesday too if Stowers. I mean, when you take away your leading receiver, you're missing something from your offense. But I'm not saying that Vanderbilt's going to be
they're not
blind. Yeah,
they're going to be okay.
They're going to be okay.
So let's get you a look at. We showed you this during that bowl announcement episode. We're going to go over a lot of stuff, but if you want to get our full initial thoughts on Vanderbilt, that episode's still up on the YouTube channel, and you can download it on Eye on the Hawks wherever you're listening here. But there's a look at games. What Vanderbilt did again. That offense is as good as any as Iowa's gone up. It'll be the 4th one they go up against that has a team that ranks in the top 15 in both scoring and total offense. The defense we also talked about. They're great against the rush. Haven't played a lot of really good rushing offenses, though. I think, 5 or 6 of them out of the 11 FBS ones are ranked 100 or worse in the country. Pass defense has really got cut up, and seen them both in the short game and the long ones, giving up a lot of yardage there. So it's going to be interesting. I did do a little bit of a deeper dive on the offense because it's been Pavia, who finished runner-up in the Heisman, of course, to Mendoza, has rushed for, 800-some yards.
Yeah, he's the leading rusher.
826, yeah, and has almost as many carries as Kamari did. I mean, he's got 30-some more than Mark. He's got 50 more than their leading running back, who is Cedric Alexander, who has 560 yards on 102 carries. But it's really just those two. They've got Young as their number 3 back, 45 carries for 410 yards, so he's averaging 9.1 a pop. What is it? Something like 240 of those 410 yards have come on 4 carries.
Really?
Yeah. So 60% of his yards have come on 9% of his carries. And same thing with their number 4 guy, has 9 carries for 143 yards, so he's averaging 16 a pop. But 3 of those carries have gone for 120 of the 140. So it's Pavia and Alexander in the run game, and that's I think Pavia, what he does as a playmaker is he just running around. But I also, for our petite princes out there, present company included here, I do wonder how much of his game is just the fact that a little bit like Russell Wilson when he came in and Drew Brees, these shorter quarterbacks were your eyes are in the backfield, but you can lose sight of him really quick. And what that opens up as he looks downfield, and again, he's got some smaller guys on the outside, and Richardson and Sherrill. Hoskins, I think, is the tallest at 6'1", but all those guys have had really strong Novembers, and they've got speed and can get in space. Richardson especially averages 17 yards a catch. He can be a burner. Losing Stowers is big, but man, that offense he does so much. And they even asked Phil the other day just if he had any sort of comp, and they brought up Trace McSorley, just a guy who just runs around and keeps it alive. And he doesn't need one big playmaker to be the playmaker himself. He's just so impressive. Forget about the off-field stuff and how he reacts to certain things. Watch his tape, and it's just it's off rhythm, I guess you'd call it, or I'm probably missing the right word, but off script, backyard football. as we've heard. But man, like
he's dangerous.
If that's what backyard football looks like, yeah, go enjoy it because it's fun.
It makes you wonder how you think Phil's going to attack the Vanderbilt offense because traditional Iowa defense, it's like that bend but don't break. But a lot of times this season they attack the quarterback. Like against Mendoza, they're like, okay, if we give this guy time, he's going to pick us apart, and Mendoza can do that too. So like let's put the pressure on him, force it out, and you did force Mendoza to throw a pick to Zach Lutmer at the end of the game. Pavia, though, he's a different beast because he obviously is their leading rusher, and a lot of that is just making a play.
He doesn't get sacked a ton either. I mean, he's slippery. He's always alive.
So bringing pressure seems to be a gamble, but also like, do you contain? Do you have a spy? I feel like Iowa doesn't do that much. I don't break down the film, but I can't remember them. But again, I don't think they've played a lot of like very mobile quarterbacks this season.
Not like this, yeah.
Not like Pavia.
He's a creative player, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really is. Just like zips around and finds a way. Even in that Texas game where they got down huge, like they were recovering an onside. They were that close to recovering an onside kick, and they could have. I think that game was in Austin too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are never out of it. It's not quite a comp to the USC game where Iowa gets up 21-7, and then it's Lemon and Lane and Mayava doing their thing and coming back because none of these receivers are that tall except Spence, the tight end. Now he's 6'7", but like man, you're not out of it until there's triple zeros, and that's as frightening of a trait as a quarterback can have. That he's going to keep gunning, and yeah, I think Chad was reporting today, or talking about just the number he had in his head of like, what's this offense got to put up? Because that's the positive thing too, is that Iowa, this isn't the Citrus Bowl in 23 where it's like, oh, you're going to have Mayava just run all over the place and it's 35-0 and there's a pick six and like the offense is just dead in the water the minute they throw a pick in the end zone on that opening drive or whenever it was in the first quarter. I think he said like maybe 30 or 31 points. Like if you can get 4 touchdowns and a little more, like you've got to feel good about where you are. And again, that defense, it feels like there's opportunities. Mark seems healthy. He's not practicing with the brace on, and you get one more chance for this backfield and this offensive line to do their thing. It's such an intriguing matchup. It is one of those that maybe the folks that are a little bored with bowl games, like 11 a.m. on ESPN on Wednesday, I think that's going to be a really highly viewed game. I think there's going to be a lot of people excited for it, starting off, the road into the playoff games later that night and the next day.
Yeah, 100%. And, I was kind of looking at that. I read Chad's article this morning, and before that I was like, I put it in my notes, how many points, could you score? It's one of those questions. Or how many points does Iowa need to score to win? And I kind of had a little lower than that. I thought it was 28. I thought, you look at the game, and maybe you have a game like Vandy did against Missouri, where I think it was 17-10. Was that the final score?
Yeah, and Prabula got knocked out of that game, so it was kind of off kilter there.
Yeah, but I do think Iowa's defense can slow it down, and maybe the game plan is, or the best way to slow the offense down is to hold the ball. Like, I don't know if you watched the Packer-Ravens game last night. They had the ball for 38 minutes, and you can't score if you don't have the ball. And you limit Pavia's touches through a run game. I know they have the 15th best rush defense, but like you said in our first podcast a couple weeks ago, they haven't played a lot of good rushing offenses.
And the ones that have had their success.
Yeah. So can Iowa control the clock on offense? And if they get, 4 touchdowns out of that, I think, if you control the time of possession, I think that'd be enough.
Yeah.
But if it's a shootout, getting up to the 30s and 40s, I think it favors Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I wouldn't mind seeing a 17-10 win, right?
Yeah,
you'd take that for sure. It'll be interesting. And Mark Gronowski making his 68th and final college start. I know it didn't look exactly like people were hoping in July and August as we got in there, but boy, just a heck of a display by him, and it'll be fun to see him out there one more time. It was, a year ago, it was still Sully's team, and you were wondering if Sully's going to stick around and be QB1. Hank Brown was already in camp, and now we're looking ahead of what Hecklinski and Hank are going to be like battling out in the spring. And I've already talked, Tim Lester's talked about just how they've been looking at what that battle is going to be like, and certainly that'll be fun as well. But one more time with Gronowski is going to be a blast. I did have a note here. We haven't even talked about Caden Weegan a whole lot because arguably the most versatile player. Some would argue the most valuable player on this Hawkeye team. How many times we talked in the bowl announcement game that Vanderbilt hadn't given up like a 20-yard return or anything like that this year. How many punts do you think they have this year through 12 games?
Oh, Vanderbilt?
Yeah. How many times?
Something I should have looked up, but probably under 15, right?
A little higher.
A little higher. Yeah, that'd be ridiculous. 28?
Not that far off. 23. But if you take away their 5 against Missouri and 3 against Bama, they would only have 15 through the other 10 games. So guess how many returns they've allowed out of those 23 punts.
I'm guessing it's lower, obviously.
Yeah, there you go.
10?
6.
Wow.
6 returns.
So they do a good job at like directional punting and not
all
giving
season,
the guy.
Yeah, they average in the mid-40s on their punts. 6 punt returns for all of 34 yards total. I think Caden has at least 5 returns of at least 34 yards, something like that.
Well, Caden too. Like I think there's a lot of times, different teams where Caden has the confidence to catch it, even when there's someone like 5 feet in front of him, and then go for it. Where I think a lot of players are coached, hey, just fair catch it. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Don't fumble the ball. Where Caden has a lot of leeway to actually go make a play.
Yeah.
So that might.
I know you've been demanding he get more touches on offense and explode a little. This could be the game because that might be the only way he's able to make an impact. And man, last game with him, you want to make sure you get every drop out of him you can.
Yeah, 100%. And special teams, obviously, any bowl game. You go back in Iowa bowl games, the Florida Outback Bowls in the early 2000s, LSU, there was a block punt in the Capital One Bowl. Those can flip a game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about what does Iowa need to score? How many their offense? Well, get a major play or a fumble or something like that on a punt return in Iowa's favor, and that could flip it too.
Sure. I meant to bring this up 3 weeks ago, and we've had these here, if you're watching on YouTube, had these on the desk, I think, the whole season. Wendy, our HR person, her late father collected these, and if you were a sports fan in the late 90s and early 2000s, you probably had these too. I think these are all, like, I would assume carved out of old bowling pins or something like that, but the 2004 Outback Bowl champion Iowa Hawkeye wooden football. I had a Vikings one of these when I was a kid, and these were like a staple of, let's give it its own shot. So thanks to
what year was that?
Wendy. This was 2004.
Okay.
Tampa Bay there. So a fun one there, but yeah, these are awesome. So it's got all the records on the back. I mean, these were, there's
a lot of cups like that too. And
kids these days, they don't understand this kind of stuff.
I got the mugs, but the Big Ten title game
those are super
in
cool.
1985 and 1991.
And these are things that you then put in the basement for 20 some odd years, and you never let them go though, because there's a reason to have them. You keep them around. But yeah, that was cool. Glad we had that accoutrement in here to decorate the podcast room. We'll hopefully keep doing that. We'll see what the bowl gift is if Owen brings back something cool from Tampa Bay. I forget what we even got last year in the Music City. Oh, we got like little commemorative coins.
Yeah, we got a coin. I went to the Kentucky one a couple years ago.
Yep, that's right. I got
I think anything for the Cheez-It Bowl though. We got a box of Cheez-Its.
That's right. There was literally just a box of
right
Cheez-Its
over there,
Citrus Bowl. Yeah. I think I've told this on the podcast before. I was at the 100th Rose Bowl, Michigan State, Stanford. And since it was the 100th, there was a lot of pomp and circumstance with that. They gave us an encyclopedia. It's like in the box. I've looked at it a few times, but taking really good care of it. And it's got QR codes in there that you scan for like old highlights from games and just like this complete history of the Rose Bowl. It's such a cool thing. And it's probably that, and you know this because I'm in here every day with it. I've got from the Cotton Bowl following
the Cotton
year,
Bowl one.
like a gear bag, which like to any bowl reps listening to this, like give us practical things to use as TV folks. I use that every single time. That Rose Bowl thing are like the coolest bowl gifts I've ever gotten.
Those bowl gifts are cool, and I would, I've only been to a few, but I wish I would have went to one of the higher end ones just to see.
It's not exactly what players get, like those bowl gifts now, and like the bowl gifts don't really matter now because of NIL and all that. But yeah, anytime you get like a cool little commemorative thing, that's always a fun thing. Well, we're going to look at our picks now, and we're going to do 5 games. I put down 5 games instead of our usual 4 because there are a lot of good games here just Tuesday and Wednesday. We're not going to worry about the playoffs stuff, but we got 5 games involving Big Ten teams Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll get here updated results here. Did we even go over this 3 weeks ago?
We went over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Owen,
we can go back if we want to.
Owen looks like he's kind of won this thing outright, though. 28-27-1 this season. I'm 25-30-1. Mike's 24-31.
Add a 5th game and try and win some.
There you go. Yeah, we're just trying to.
I do have Owen's picks. He texted me.
Did you? Okay, cool. Yeah, what did I have? 3 0-4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
I've never been more boom or bust.
You had one perfect week though.
Oh yeah, well that's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound there, Mike. Let's look at our first one. Is going to be Tuesday afternoon. This is an interesting one. Tennessee, basically a home game for them, more or less. Not in Knoxville, but they're in Nashville in this year's Music City Bowl. Tuesday, 4:30 kick on ESPN. 2.5-point favorites over Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini. Who do you like in that one?
I'll go with Owen first. He likes Tennessee. I kind of didn't even, when I was looking at this, didn't even think about it's going to be a home game because they're only a couple hours away. Obviously, in
I should
Tennessee.
probably look up how far that drive is, but
I think it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours.
it's not bad.
I like Illinois, though. I mean, I think Tennessee has a few more opt-outs. They each have opt-outs. I like Luke Altmaier. I just haven't been a big believer in Tennessee this year, and I do think it will be a good game, though. So I'll take Illinois. See what happens.
I'm going to take Tennessee to cover the 2.5. Aguilar is not one of the opt-outs, so I think he's just been, you can't ask for much more of a good fit than he's been there in Knoxville, coming over and kind of a trade, so to speak, with UCLA as Io Maliava went out there. But so I'll take Tennessee to cover there and get the win over the Illini. And then Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on ESPN, number 16 USC, 6.5-point favorite over TCU. Maiava's already said he's coming back next year as well. This is going to be a fun one in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah. Owen picked USC. I'm going to pick USC too. I think they have too much firepower. And I actually didn't look at the opt-outs on this one. Is Lemon playing?
No, he and Lane are both out. But
okay.
I still
have confidence in their weapons.
TCU's quarterback's out, so I'm going to take USC because I really like my. Yeah, I think they can cover by a touchdown. And then you get into New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve day, excuse me. We'll get to Iowa's at the very end. But 2 o'clock on ABC. Boy, this one got really intriguing all of a sudden. Michigan, 18th ranked, now with Kyle Whittingham as their coach. He's not going to coach this game, obviously, but maybe a little spark they needed after everything that's happened the last few weeks, just throwing more. Getting a little good news there in Ann Arbor, bringing in a guy like Whittingham. Up against Texas, number 13 team. Started the season preseason number 1. They are 7.5-point favorites in the Citrus Bowl this year.
My instincts were going to go Texas, but I got to make up some room against Owen, so I think it will be close.
I think it'll be a better game than people think, and that half
100%.
That half point there throws a wrench in some kind of stuff. I still think Texas' defense can give Bryce some fits. I think Bryce is going to do really well next year, getting Whittingham in there. That's going to be a fun offense. But I'm going to take, I think Texas maybe by 10 can win this thing and cover it there. And then speaking of Kyle Whittingham, his old team, and boy, I'd built this up in my head like, boy, Nebraska just
going to get killed, right?
The way they ended the season, and now you got to go up against a Utah team that there's no way they lose in Kyle Whittingham's final game before I thought he retires, and I think a lot of people thought he retires. They are still 14-point favorites over Nebraska, the number 15 ranked Utes, in the Las Vegas Bowl at 2:30. That kicks on ESPN. But this thing has really shifted. Kyle Whittingham's are again introduced today in Ann Arbor. He's not with them, and they already had kind of a succession plan in there. The Roy family really could have used their guidance there, but we'll see what happens there. That's a Succession reference for anybody who doesn't watch HBO. But man, 14 points all of a sudden seems a little big, despite how
that's a lot.
Nebraska
I
ended.
mean, no, obviously they haven't had Raiola in the past few games. No Emmett Johnson. Man, I want this to be a close game, but I think Utah. But the whole throws a wrench into it with their coach. Although was he going to coach before he accepted the Michigan game, right? Or I know he announced he retired.
His plan was to coach Utah. And that's
I know he made the announcement that he was not going back.
Out of all the moves, yeah, that was just a stark thing of like.
I'll go Utah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
14's a lot, though.
Utah, yeah, 14's a lot, but maybe you get a push out of that. I still think, but now it's like, okay, we get to start this new era, and some room there, and again, not having Emmett Johnson out there is such a spot for Nebraska, who's got a lot of tough spots they got to figure out in the offseason. And then we circle back to Iowa and Vanderbilt, that 11 a.m. kick on ESPN. The Hawks looking for win number 9. They are 4.5-point underdogs. Can they cover? Can they win? Owen's got the Hawkeyes to do at least one of those.
Yeah. Man, I do think that spread is tricky. If it was a little higher, I'd 100% take Iowa.
It opened 5.5, right?
Yeah. If it was like 7, I'd be like, okay, that's one where I'm definitely taking the Hawks. But this is tricky because, you've seen it before. where I guess as an underdog, I think I'm taking Iowa. I don't know if they're going to win, though. I'm kind of in the boat because this would be the 14th game in a row if they don't win against a ranked team. I need to see it to believe it, I think they cover, though, so I'll take the Hawks.
The same. I think this is a field goal game regardless. I do think Iowa can win. I think, it's maybe not exactly like Norm Parker having a month to get ready for the triple option against Georgia Tech in the Orange Bowl back in 2009 and him moving around cups at the presser down there in Miami. But Phil's had all this time. Ryan Fitzgerald has been the scout team quarterback running around like Pavia, so he's wearing a 2 jersey out there with his 16 helmet. So they've had a ton of time to get as prepped as they possibly can for this, and you've got one last game for this front four in Aaron Graves, Ethan Herkett, Maxwell, and Jonah Pace, and Jeremiah Pittman, of course, seniors on there as well. And, this is their one last call, and I think, KB and Neiman are just going to have them raring to go. Seth Wallace, obviously, getting them fired up of just, one more time for these guys who came back for one more shot at it. Papa Graves took his baby down to Tampa with them. That was cool to see getting off the bus and on the plane. But I think they'll stand up to the challenge and get some pressure, maybe force Pavia into a mistake or two. And I think this offense, lean on the Joe Moore Award winners, and they'll keep it close, if not win this thing. And what a great way that would be to finish a season that gets compared so often to 2008 and what it felt like to get to 9-4 compared to 8-5 with a group like this. I've got faith, so I'll take the Hawkeyes to cover, and I do think they'll win. But I think it's going to be a heck of a game, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of eyes.
Of course, that 08 season ended with a routing of South Carolina.
Was that 31-10? I think
31-10. Yeah, Sean Green went wild. I don't see that happening. I see it more like last year's bowl game against Missouri in the Music City Bowl, where it's just back and forth, maybe 27-24. That's why I picked that 28 number. I think if you get to 28, you trust your defense that they're going to contain Vanderbilt enough to not get over 30, So I'd like the Hawkeyes' chances, in that kind of a game. But again, it could go either way, in my opinion.
I don't think there's a blowout. I don't think you get 23 versus Tennessee, where it was. And I forgot about this until just looking it up, because you have Stowers opting out, but it was 4 days before the game that Joe Milton opted out, which put in Iamaleava. And I remember, I think it was Quinn Schulte being asked after practice, hey, so Milton opted out, and he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I don't know if he was just playing coy, but it did, if they were prepping for Milton, and then all of a sudden Iamaleava was out there, and he was, two very different players. Nico was running all over the place, but. Yeah, I'm just saying that might have been a factor in why all of a sudden this thing got way out of hand, and you had an offense that couldn't keep up.
That's probably more of it, right? They couldn't move the ball at all.
There's a number of variables, but there was a big variable there as well. But I think it's every game this year's been great. Why stop now?
Haven't ended great, but no,
some have not ended great. Yeah,
I do think these are two high quality teams, and hopefully it doesn't get buried too much at starting at 11 a.m. because that 1 o'clock kickoff on the Cheez-It Bowl gets a lot of pub. But if you're not doing anything, I think this is an excellent football game to watch, and I'm excited. And hopefully Iowa can finally break that streak, because it's been so annoying.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
for the past 4 years.
Yeah, just all right, let's go. So we'll see if it happens. Again, I think it's going to be a heck of a game, and I think we're all excited for it. Again, Owen might have been landed in Tampa so far. He was planning on hopefully catching up with the Hawks.
Landed about an hour ago.
Okay, so he is here. The Hawks are heading to Busch Gardens, I believe, this afternoon, so he's going to be catching up with them. And his coverage will start tonight on Iowa's News Now at 9 and 10. If you're watching on the TV side, of course, that'll be on the YouTube channel as well. And we'll get a post-game breakdown pod up. Are we going to do that probably Thursday, New Year's Day, or are we planning on maybe doing that Wednesday? We haven't talked about this.
Stay tuned. I gotta produce a newscast that day, so I don't think I can.
Busy stuff. So we might circle back on New Year's Day and get everything together. Give Owen time to get stuff to us, so we can get you some of his highlights that he'll be shooting there down in Tampa. But again, he'll have plenty of stuff on the YouTube channel starting tonight and going through Wednesday. So stay tuned for all of his coverage and everything we'll bring you afterwards. And we'll tentatively plan on seeing you Thursday. Whether it's on the YouTube channel or listening wherever you do your podcasting. Big thanks again to Ren coming in a little early to direct the show. For Mike and Mitch and Owen, wherever he is in Tampa, Florida right now. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your holiday season. Talk to you New Year's Day on Eye on the Hawks.
At DePaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing DePaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that DePaco can help you be well.